Welcome to the 6th show in a series of age-friendly cities shows dedicated to the Brookline age-friendly city. In 2012, the World Health Organization of the United Nations dedicated and included Brookline as its first city in New England to be in its network of age-friendly cities. The Brookline Board of Selectmen then went and formed a committee called the Age-Friendly Cities Committee, whose mission is to encourage and enhance age-friendly features of Brookline. Today, we have with us Carrie Ann Tester of a new service, the program director of a new service called T.R.I.P.S. T.R.I.P.S. basic service is to support people who are retiring from driving. T.R.I.P.S. was first initiated by the Councils on Aging of both Brookline and Newton, and it operates out of the senior centers of both Brookline and Newton, and is funded by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and the Federal Department of Transportation. Today our guest, as I said, is Carrie Ann Tester, and Carrie Ann came to us from the Good Shepherd Community Hospice and has become the program director of T.R.I.P.S., a very exciting step. Both her coming in, Carrie is a person who is for a long time been an environmentalist. She herself uses public transportation often, bikes, walks, and she's a community advocate. Welcome, Carrie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this is. I want to say that this is, of all the shows we've done, this is the one that's really new, really novel, and really needed.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So it's to me, this is the one that I think I'm going to learn the most.
Great.
I did want to mention that you are at the end of the program going to put up credits that during the credits put up contact information.
That's right.
So if anybody wants to take down notes, I would ask them to prepare ahead of time and be ready, so that
that's a good idea.
When the contact mention.
Okay.
Okay. Can you first tell us something about T.R.I.P.S.? What is it as a start?
Sure.
What does the name stand for?
Sure. T.R.I.P.S. stands for Transportation Resources, Information, Planning, and Partnership for Seniors. We decided that kind of encompassed everything that we do. So we do research. We can tell people what transportation options are in our area, and we also support people individually when they're trying to explore those options and learn more about them.
Right. Now, what I understand, it's for 60 and over, right?
That's right.
The people you're supporting. And it's the term, I love the term, driving retirement.
It's a great term.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you actually mean by that?
So driving retirement. It's a fantastic term, and it's appropriate because it's very similar to retirement from work. It's just another life transition, just like many other life transitions that we've all been through and continue to go through. So like any other change, like retiring from work, change is really hard, and change always comes with its own set of challenges and rewards. Right. So our message of hope is that this is nothing new. You've done something very similar to this before, and you can do it this time, and you do have options. It's not the end of the world. You've got hope, and it's really just a matter of planning, preparing, and learning some new skills that you might not have had before.
Yeah, I don't find the idea of something new and uncertain negative.
Right.
Okay, so when you say hope, that strikes a chord.
That's great.
In me. Yeah. Because I understand, and it's very difficult to go through change, and I've been through it, retirement. Other people have been through all sorts of things over our lifetimes. Yep. But the change from driving to, especially in a city like Brookline, in a place where you have the facilities, to me that's exciting because you're learning something very new. You're learning a new way of operating, and it'll be painful, I'm sure, but it's something. Hope, I think, is beautiful because you can see where through the cracks a lot of light.
That's it. Growth can be painful, right? I mean, you watch children grow through their pain and their learning experiences, but it also can be really rewarding. This is an opportunity to keep learning at any age.
Now, I guess the question I have is why do people stop driving?
Why do people stop driving? Yeah. That's a really good question. So ideally, driving retirement is a gradual thing that you've planned for and it's expected, you anticipate this. It's very similar to planning for retirement, planning where you're going to live when you retire. So unfortunately, it can also be unexpected for some people, or it could be sudden. And in those cases, it can be potentially really distressing or devastating even. Sometimes it's sudden, like there's an accident, a car accident or a medical condition strikes. Sometimes it's permanent. Other times it's just temporary. So maybe you have a stroke and you can come back and regain some of your skills. Sometimes it's gradual, so it happens over time, maybe with vision changes or mobility changes. So it's something that you kind of get used to and slowly accommodate. We know just from our work and with talking with people that everybody has their own story and everybody navigates this transition differently, which makes our program really special because, like I said, we provide individual support. So we sit down, we ask questions, we get to know you, we get to know what your resources are, where you like to go, how you would like to get there, when you want to go there. We really ask questions about you individually because there's no one size fits all for this.
I want to get where I want to go whenever I want to get there.
Exactly. Yep, and we want to help you. That's perfect.
Right. Well, so what actually is some of the indications of driving, of difficulties? I mean, because, you know, I think it's hard. Everybody makes mistakes here and there or does something wrong. But at the same time, at any age is right.
That's right.
So I just...
So there are lots of different ways that, you know, you can kind of look at yourself. We often cut back on driving voluntarily. So it's not always someone sitting you down and taking away your keys. We often cut back on our own. So for example, the last time I went to renew my license a couple of months ago was the first time I couldn't pass the eye test without my glasses. So I don't drive at night without my glasses. I don't feel like I'm safe, so I've already cut back on that aspect of it. If I'm out at night with the car and I don't have my glasses, somebody else drives me. So that's just one thing that I've cut back on myself. And this can happen in stages over time, and it can take a decade or more. It can take a really long time to do this. So maybe you've cut back on driving at night, or maybe you've cut back on driving when the weather's not so great, like today. It's a rainy, windy day, or snow. Even in our area, snow is really common. Or maybe I've heard of people who don't drive on the interstate. Totally understandable. They'll drive local roads, but not the interstate.
I knew someone who only made right turns.
There you go. No left turns.
Only right turns.
Right? Or no reversing. You'll make sure that you can only park in parking lots where you can pull straight out, because twisting around can be difficult. So these are the ways we kind of cut back on our own driving. And for other people, it's much more voluntary, where just over time they become more and more affected by the stress of driving. We've all planned a trip somewhere, you go, you drive around for a really long time looking for a parking spot, and when you finally find one, it's miles away from where you need to be. That can be really stressful. It can be really expensive. And some people just get tired of that and think, you know, there's got to be another way to get here. And they start looking around. So in our view, it's really wise, while you're still young, while it's early, to start planning ahead and thinking about, why am I tied to my car? Do I need to be tied to my car? And are there some other ways, some other tools that I can add to my toolkit so I can keep driving, but then explore other options?
So what if what if I was in a position, for instance, where, I always went to Cambridge a lot and used to park, and there's no garages, and it's a pain parking. Is that something I can, now I'm over 60, so is that something I could ask? Call up and ask the trips for help?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So we take into consideration where you're going. So with Cambridge, you've got, if you're going during the day on a weekday, you've got some great options. It's not easy. You can't take a train to Cambridge. You could take a bus.
It would take quite a trip.
It would, yeah. You'd have to go to Park Street and change. So maybe that's not the most convenient for you. So we can tell you about the 66 bus that goes up there. We could tell you about Bridge. So if you're going in the morning, coming back in the afternoon, there's this new shuttle that goes straight to Cambridge, to Kendall Square. So there are lots of different options out there, and that's one thing that we do, that we're hoping to do, is to constantly keep pace with all those changes. It's constantly changing out there. So I don't know if some of your viewers used ITN, the Independent Travel Network. So that has now is no longer
I've heard
available in
about it.
Boston. Yeah.
I've heard about it, but it disappeared.
And a lot of people
right.
used it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's no longer available, so we're going to keep up with that kind of thing. And then when new options arise, like there's this new option called Chariot for Women, which is kind of like an Uber, but with women drivers and women passengers.
Oh, I did hear about that. Isn't there a...
Who knows what's going to happen with it? There is. Yeah, there people are already talking about anti-discrimination lawsuits, so we're going to keep track of all that.
First reaction was great. A lot of people like it.
Exactly.
And,
it's an interesting option, and so we're going to keep track of it, and if it's available, we'll let people know about it.
I heard something called, on the radio today coming in, called Fasten?
Fasten, yes.
What
They're
is
really
that?
advertising really heavily now. It's just like Uber or Lyft.
Oh, it is?
But they pay their drivers more because they only take $1 per ride. So then the drivers make more and the drivers tend to be happier. But every one of those ride-hailing apps is different
So it's a
in
different
way.
cost basis.
Exactly. And so we're going to know all the differences between them. Some of them you tip, some of them you don't.
Right. Yeah, I never know what that's another thing. I heard
Yeah.
people from Uber saying something about no tipping. And then,
Exactly, but with Lyft you tip.
Lyft you tip. Okay, that's
we're going to try to find out all the differences on all those different options so that we can help you choose the one that works for you.
great. And what about, it's an old-fashioned method, taxis?
Yeah, it's really old-fashioned, right? So, yeah, and some people use those, and a lot of people don't know that Brookline has a taxi voucher program through the senior center. So if you're 60 or above and you meet the income requirement, you can buy half-price taxi vouchers to use taxis in Brookline. So a lot of the time it's just a matter of people not knowing what options are already there, and then we can help with that.
And can they just call up and ask about options?
Yep.
Like, what's that? Is that called BETS? Is that the one?
BETS, yep.
Or it used to be called that.
Yep.
So they can call up and say, I've heard about BETS. What is that?
Absolutely, that's right. And we can tell them a little bit about it, and then we can help them make an appointment with the BETS coordinator.
Right, because they want to start using that. They
Exactly.
certainly need some support in doing that.
That's right.
The MB, we talked about train.
Yes.
I really, we've never, trains.
Yes.
So we have too many.
Too many trains?
Too many trains. We have B, C, D.
The Green Line, yeah.
Oh, I live between C and D. So I
Okay,
sit
so you have
there
a
and
choice,
say,
yeah.
Now which one? Now I've always taken C because people tell me there's more stops.
There are more stops, but D is faster. My husband only takes D because it doesn't go on the street. It has its own dedicated tracks. It doesn't have to stop for lights. So we come to know all these things, and our transit advisors, our volunteers who love the T and love knowing everything about it. And if you say anything bad about the T, they'll jump up and come to its defense. So they know all these things.
I think it's great.
If you say, oh, I'm coming back at 3:30, 4 o'clock, they'll correct you and say, hey, you might want to think about coming back a little earlier or later because that's rush hour. So,
yeah, I've heard people asking that if businesses would only take their times and their start times and spread them out a little, that would help. And I think many do. But,
yeah, it's a changing world.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and we do have Heath Street, too, the other one. That's
Yes,
not
the
quite in
E-line.
Brookline, but I guess if you live in the area nearby, you could probably walk to it.
Exactly, yeah.
And
you have to know which ones go. For example, I actually had to stop driving a few years ago. I had a back injury and I couldn't drive my stick shift car. So I had to learn all about, because I had to get to the North Shore, how to get to North Station. Not every train goes to North Shore, to North Station, so you have to be sure you get on the right train.
Right.
And it's learning these little tips and tricks that can make people really intimidated by learning this new system. They think, oh, I tried it once and it didn't work and I'm never going to try it again. So that's where our transit advisors can help, because our transit advisors can give you this real world practical advice.
Right.
They can also go with you on the first few trips.
Oh, will they? Really?
To make sure that you navigate
great.
it properly, and then kind of step back as you get more and more confident, and eventually you've got a new tool in your toolbox.
Well, especially if you want a regular path, you certainly want to know the best way to do it.
That's it. A lot of people go to Copley. That's easy on the Green Line. So we can help you get there.
Right. I think the senior center has a ride too. Do they have?
That's right. So if
because you're located in, am I correct? You're located
my office is in the
senior
senior center.
Right?
Yeah.
I did say that.
That's
and I was thinking, I hope I'm right.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Yep. So I have office hours every Thursday at the senior center.
Okay.
If you want to drop in, that's one way to get in touch with us.
Yeah.
And the senior center has 3 transportation options that I like to think of. There's the van.
Okay.
Which is, well, let me start with the bus. So the bus is a fixed route service. You've probably seen the signs that say Elder Bus.
Yes.
That's a fixed route service. It runs three or four times a day, I think, 3 loops, maybe 4. And it's a pickup. It's just like a municipal bus,
Right.
just like the 66 or the 65.
Okay. Well,
but it's kind of targeted towards seniors. It goes, you know, it hits some senior housing, hits the senior center, hits the libraries. So that's one option. The other option is the van, which is you call the day before.
Right.
It only goes to the senior center and from the senior center. So if you want to get to the senior center for a discussion group or lunch, you know, Springwell lunch, whatever you want to do, you can call the van the day before. The driver will call you back, get all the details, make sure that your timing's right, and he'll say, okay, I'm going to meet you at this place at this time, bring you to the senior center, and bring you home afterwards.
Okay.
So that's curb to curb. That's a great option.
Even if I'm in South Brookline?
Even if you're in South Brookline. So the van's a great option for getting to and from the senior center. But there's lots to do. There's tons to do at the senior center.
Oh, there's no question.
And it's close to Coolidge Corner.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I mean,
So
it's the center of it. If
exactly.
you get there and you get into shopping,
you've got a whole world available to you.
It's the library.
Exactly.
Everything we have on the show is there.
That's right. There you go. Yeah.
But again, South Brookline, you want to get there. So
exactly. So you can get into the center of town with that van. So the third option through the senior center is the HELP program, which is, I can't remember what it stands for, but it's basically escort. So it's
I like the word, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I think it's Home Escort Linkage Program or something like that. So they will match you with someone who can drive for you, do laundry, do shopping, bring you, you know, errands, things like that. And it's a pretty reasonable price in terms of home care. If you go to a home care agency, you're going to look at somewhere between $20 and $30 an hour. The HELP folks are around $13 to $15 an hour because it's subsidized.
Like it's almost just like taxi people that do other things for you.
Exactly, because they don't need to drive you. Maybe
they're
you
not
want
limited
to pick something up on the way to your place. So
oh, that's really good.
Yeah, it's a great program.
What about they don't do delivery?
They will, if you want grocery shopping, you can give them the list and they will pick things up. Or they have high school students who will, the SHOP program, it's a different program, will do your grocery shopping. Yeah. Which is another kind of resource that we look into, these delivery services. So Peapod, Roche Brothers, pharmacies deliver some of the pharmacies. Those are also great ways of avoiding driving.
I did that by bike when I was about young.
Really? Right? Well, there's places that still do
Teenager.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, and the bike, that's another thing.
Yes.
What about bicycles?
Yeah, so that's one of my favorites. I like riding my bike around, and I see seniors biking all the time, and I love seeing it. And Brookline's pretty bike friendly, you know, compared
and
to
getting more so.
Working
hard at it.
That's right. I read something in the paper about Beacon Street between Coolidge Corner and Washington Square. They're considering.
Yeah, they are considering.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very. Yeah. There's one thing after another, and
constantly
it's
changing.
the kind of thing I know because the Age Friendly Cities group is monitoring these things all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very good. Also, there was volunteers that you have.
Volunteers.
I mean, if you covered all the options, because that's what I was trying to.
Oh, you're trying to cover the options.
Did I miss any of them?
Yeah, let me take a glance at my list. So walking is my favorite one. So like when I injured my back.
I knew I forgot something.
Walking, if you can walk, that is by far the best way to get around. Brookline's very walkable, and it's a great way to get around. You get fresh air, you get gentle exercise. It's fantastic. You see people. You know, I see people every time I leave the house. I see someone I know, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's worth anything you can do to keep walking and to walk.
That's it, as long as you can.
That's my.
And even just a short trip.
Right. So in this case, for instance, if you might want to go someplace where you're going to walk, like if like to walk the reservoir, could you get a ride there? Or that's, I guess, taxi.
Absolutely,
certainly
yeah.
Taxi and certainly.
And one of the options we didn't talk about was ride-hailing app. We didn't talk a whole lot about ride-hailing apps. So like Uber, Lyft, and Fasten.
Right.
So a lot of people are using these ride-hailing apps to get to the T stop, and then they'll take the T into town, and then get another use another ride-hailing app to get from the T stop to their destination.
Okay.
So they use it to connect with the T. And that's one of the things we've found is that there's no one-size-fits-all solution for this. There's going to be, like we call it, a toolkit. You're going to have all these tools in your toolkit if you want to make it work.
Well, that brings up technology, because I'm fairly high-tech, relatively, for and people are a whole range.
Right.
But the one thing I've noticed is I use apps and Waze. I use Waze for driving. But Google Maps.
Yeah.
When I have often, I'm gonna take it from you, but I wanted to, and I want to ask you.
It's on my list.
How it works, because I take that and I'll also ask how to get someplace, and then change from car to public transportation to walking.
What a great feature, right?
And when I ask public transportation, I get the walking, I get the transportation.
They'll tell you how long you're going to walk with each option.
Each piece.
Yeah.
If there's a place that's like a walking path in between, they will often give you the path.
Exactly.
To
They
walk
know
through
about
a park or an area.
Right.
That's as long as it's a public, open path, they tell you about
Right.
it. They don't tell you about people's driveways.
Right. Sneaking through your backyard.
They don't give you that. But,
Yeah.
but I don't. That's good.
Yeah, it's a great option, and a lot of people don't know that it's up there. So you type in your starting address, you type in your destination, and you usually get driving directions by default.
Right.
But if you look at the top, you'll see a picture of a car and a picture of a little pedestrian and a picture of a bus. I think it's the front of a train or a bus.
Right.
You can click any of those, and it'll switch the mode, and it'll give you, scheduled. This is the fastest way. This way it'll take 39 minutes. This way it'll take 48 minutes. It's really
and
great.
You will help people with that. If they
Absolutely.
Call up and
If
say,
they have a smartphone,
I want to use Google Apps to get around.
Yeah.
Google Maps to get around,
Yeah.
and I could use some help.
That's it. And Google Maps is not the only ride
example.
plan or transportation planning app out there. The MBTA has one.
Really?
Yeah, and they'll also integrate walking. How far it is to walk, and yeah, there are lots of them out there.
Volunteers.
Volunteers. Before we wrap up.
Right.
So volunteers, we have lots of different types of volunteers. So we have our transit advisors who help us. They're the one-to-one. They're the ones who really help people
Those are the ones
plan their trips, find their options.
All these questions would be
Exactly.
addressed to one of these people. Right?
That's it, and they are right there with you, as you're trying out these new options. They're your travel buddy. We have researchers, so if you don't want to necessarily work with people or work with people who are looking for new options, you can really dig down deep into one or more of these options and figure out all the details and everything that a senior is going to know if they want to consider using it, and write up a profile from a senior perspective, which is fantastic.
Yes.
It's unique. And then we also
this
have...
whole thing is unique.
It really is.
I mean, as I said before, I'm extremely excited because it's addressing a whole area of age friendliness that's new and has, opportunities.
Yeah, the big three, there's housing, healthcare, and transportation.
Yeah.
It's a biggie.
And, and what about, so the volunteers can...
Volunteers, yes, and we're always looking for people also to help us reach out to the public. So if you're a PR specialist or an event planner, if that's what you did for your work, we would love to have that expertise on our team. So those are all volunteer kind of opportunities. If you have a skill, we can use you. We'd love to have you. And then if you need help with transportation, you can come by our office hours on Thursdays.
Okay.
You can call us. The number will come up at the end of the show, but it's 617-730-2644.
Okay.
And you can email us at info@tripsmass.org. That's trips with 2 P's.
And I follow you on Facebook and on
follow Facebook, Twitter,
and,
and all this will be at the end of the program. It'll flash up on the screen. And you can come to one of our events. We're actually going to have on May 17th, which is a Thursday, I think, at 6 p.m. At the Brookline Senior Center. We're going to have a big panel where we're going to have someone from the Driving Skills Assessment Program. We're going to have a police officer from the police department. We're going to have, hopefully, a physician, someone from the Registry of Motor Vehicles to come by and talk about...
so this is real, direct help. And
that's it. So a big panel to talk about driving retirement and what it is. And,
great.
Yeah, so May 17th. And so get in touch with us if you need some help or have a question.
So what I would like to do, and I always do on every show, is give people a chance to wrap up any subject, any piece that you want to bring up.
Sure.
That's before we finish.
Sure. So I guess I would just reiterate that the time to call and the time to start planning and preparing is as early as possible. The earlier you call, the more we can help you, the more options we can explore with you. It's much easier while you're still driving or still, to fold the other options into that. I keep going back to the toolkit. Driving is in your toolkit right now. You want to expand that. You want to diversify your portfolio, right?
I like it. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Why not have those
Absolutely.
backups? I tell a lot of people, just install a ride-hailing app on your phone. Just have it as a backup. So if you get stuck somewhere, you're not stuck. You can always call a ride.
Right.
You don't have to use it. Just have it on there. So earlier the better. Just like you plan for retirement, right? And as you near retirement, you start changing your plans. You do the same thing here. As you're nearing retirement.
You may start and look at look at various forms of transportation and say, well, that doesn't really suit me.
Yep.
But you fall into the things that really do suit you.
That's right.
And
There's
you become
something
committed
for
to
everyone.
it, you become involved with.
That's right. And then you've learned a new skill, and that's something you can take pride in. It's a
Absolutely.
challenge. It's an opportunity for learning and growth. And yeah, that's all I would encourage
light
people
in
to
the
call
dark.
early. That's right. Light at the end of the tunnel. It's not the end of the world.
No,
there really
it's
is, a whole world of opportunity out there.
I love it. So we're coming to a close. I will like to remind everybody that when you, at the end of the credits, there will be the information, the phone number again, and that kind of information. So you may want to take notes, and please do. And please don't hesitate to contact Trips just to find out what they're about. Call them up, get involved. Even if you're driving and you have no reason to stop at this point, find out about them. Someone may ask you, and you want to advise them to call, and you want to get familiar with it. And in any case, you want to get familiar with public transportation, bicycles, and walking. So that's it. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, we will rebroadcast as usual this show following the airing over the next few weeks, and we'll also make it available on YouTube, on Brookline Can's website, on Brookline Can's Facebook and Twitter. And will you have it? It's a TRIPS website, isn't there?
There is, yeah. We'll link to it from our tripsmass.org website.
Excellent. Yep. Okay. Well, thanks again.